Recently on my channel, I had a viewer make a comment about donating items seasonally to our local thrift stores due to space constraints. When I asked her about her comment, I'm like, thank you. That was super considerate. And she shared that she had been a manager at a thrift store. At that point, I asked her if she would mind talking with me. I know I wanted to learn from her about how we can best donate to thrift stores, and I thought that my viewers would find that helpful as well. And so today we have Diana Rommel sharing with us about her insights and wisdom from her experience as a thrift store manager. Would you mind introducing yourself and talking about where you lived, what thrift store you worked at, and what your role was there?
My name is Diana Rommel. I worked at the Salvation Army thrift store from 2014 to 2017. I was the manager at that store. During that time, I had a part-time assistant manager, a part-time cashier, and a part-time pricer, and that was it. We did have some volunteers that would come in on Tuesdays, and once in a while, maybe during the week, somebody would pop in to volunteer, but it was primarily just the four of us.
Okay. And then,
And oh, I forgot. This was in Minot, North Dakota.
oh, okay. Okay. And then tell me about your employees. Were they comprised of the community that you were serving? Did they have financial challenges? Who worked at your store?
Okay, so I myself was just a general hire based on retail experience and the ability to, think on the fly. You have to think quickly, make quick decisions, and the fact that nobody else applied. It's a tough job. They have a hard time filling these positions sometimes.
Yeah.
My assistant manager was also just a member of the community at large, no special needs per se.
Right.
Then I had my cashier and my pricer were both had some special needs.
Okay.
Um, Initially, they were hired through a company locally called Independence Inc., where they were monitored. They would come in and do like job review, job performance reviews, and that kind of thing. Later on, the Salvation Army, once a certain number of months had passed, they went ahead and hired both of the part timers under the Salvation Army umbrella.
Okay.
But initially, they were from Independence Inc. My cashier, she had anxiety issues,
Mhm.
would easily get overwhelmed, and sometimes would have to work with her to help her, i.e., calm down and then think through problems. But she worked really, really well if I gave her a list of duties to do and she could follow that list.
Mhm.
Um, it kept her on track. The the lady that was my pricer was an older lady. She was in her 70s
Mhm.
and she was deaf.
Okay.
So she was primarily in the back room in a back corner, and I would bring her, say I would need ladies' summer sundresses. I'd say, Lois, price these sundresses for me. And she'd done it for a long time. So she had her little price guidelines and I left her to it.
Mhm.
But I just had to make sure that nobody would wander back into that section. We had doors and curtains that kind of blocked off that back work section to kind of protect her because she couldn't hear people coming in.
Right.
But so we did have a couple of
Yeah.
special needs.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna read off my list here. Um,
Perfect.
so what do you think your biggest challenge was in working at a thrift store? Some of these things we may hit more than once, but what do you think your biggest challenge was?
Oh my goodness. Biggest challenge, it depended on the day and the weather.
North
100%.
Dakota, right? I mean,
Right?
that's legit
Snowstorms,
winter.
blizzards, 100-degree heat in the summertime, torrential downpours, you name it. But beyond that, I'd say personally, my biggest challenge was moving large, heavy furniture and appliances.
Not bad.
100%. So that was just because of my physical size. I'm only 5 foot tall, weigh 120 pounds.
Right.
My assistant managers were a big help. Both of them were female. In the time that I worked there, I had two different ones. They were both female, both bigger than myself, stronger than myself.
Hmm.
And we had all the dollies and the carts and things to help move this furniture and appliances. So it
Still,
made it
that's a lot.
helpful. But it's a lot, especially when somebody pulls up in a big moving truck and you're unloading, two sofas, a refrigerator, a freezer, dressers, and it all comes in at one time. So that was probably my personal biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Um, but I did have some several smaller annoyances. Um, One of my biggest annoyances was when donations were left outside after closing hours.
Right.
Now, being the Salvation Army thrift store, we were not open on Sundays.
Mhm.
So frequently, I would travel by the store on Sunday. And yes, there were donations, bags and boxes left outside. And I would just stop and go in and bring them inside if I was in the neighborhood. I lived on the other side of town, so I didn't always go over there. But to come to work on Monday morning and pull in the employee parking and see bags and bags and bags stacked up out back was a huge annoyance. Plus, the second annoyance is that other people would stop and go through that stuff
Mhm. Right.
and rip the
Rip all
bags
the rug
open,
out.
all sometimes all over the place. And in which case, the items are now soiled, dirty, stepped on, destroyed. Books maybe out in the weather, maybe it rained. And so we'd have books and pictures and stuff that would now have to be tossed because they were wet and unsellable.
Yeah.
So that was a huge, huge annoyance and something that I'm careful nowadays when I donate. I do not leave it past donation hours.
Right.
It's a lot of people think, well, it's just one bag, but one bag can make a big mess when somebody decides to go through it
Yeah.
and strew it all over the parking lot.
Right. Misty, can you talk about seasonality? Is that something that we should consider when donating? Yeah, is that something that we should consider, seasonality?
Absolutely. Now, this goes to people that have the ability to hang on to things for a short period of time. If you're moving, you don't have that ability to hang on to things. If you are in a very, very small apartment, you might not have room to hang on to things. But as far as seasonality goes, most thrift stores have very, very limited storage areas. I was blessed with a decent sized one, but it's amazing how fast it fills up.
Mm.
I also had a small off-site storage unit that we would put like Halloween, Christmas, Easter items. After a couple of years, however, the Salvation Army, in looking to trim the budget, we lost that storage unit because they no longer wanted to pay the monthly fee for it. And I understand that completely when
Okay.
you're under budget constraints. Um, so, due to a lot of limited space, if people are donating, let's say, I'm looking at my notes here, bags of winter coats, hats, scarves, gloves, and this comes in from May through, August. I have to sort through all these things. I keep what I'm going to keep, the best of the best, basically. Um, and then I had these large, um, like fruit boxes, the big boxes watermelons come in. We
Mhm.
had these big crate type boxes, and it wouldn't take long before those boxes were literally filled up to the 9 foot ceiling. And
Mm.
I had two of those.
Mm.
Um, and now I'm taking my largest totes that I had and shoving little kids' jackets in these totes to try to store them for the winter season.
Right.
It made it very, very challenging because now, if you have these big watermelon tote things and they're stacked up to the ceiling, if the fire marshal decides to come through, that's a fire hazard and you were instructed to reduce it, to move it, whatever you had to do. But I usually got pretty creative and was able to um, bypass that. And but it's hard because winter coats very bulky. They take up a lot of room. Conversely, when people donate Christmas items at the end of January,
Mm.
now I'm having to store this for 10 or 11 months, 10 months, a good 10 months. We would open our Christmas room. We had one room that was normally linens, and we designated it Christmas. We opened it usually the first week in November.
Right.
So I would have to try to find a place to store all these things. It was okay once I had my offsite storage, but once I lost that, now I'm having to try to make room for it in the store. And I've noticed that lately, a lot of the thrift stores in my area aren't even trying to hold on to these items. They're just hitting the shelves right away.
Right.
There's Halloween and Christmas out all year long.
So
And
ideally, if we can donate winter coats, this is idealistic, but if we can donate winter coats in October,
perfect.
Christmas things in November,
Yep,
Easter things in late February, early March.
correct.
So the more seasonal we can be in the way that we
Yep.
donate, again, ideally, it's a helpful thing to people
Yep,
who. Okay.
100% because when you get a donation, let's say it's summer shorts and sundresses, and that donation comes in May, I can take it immediately to my pricing team. They can price it and it can go right out on the sales floor. It doesn't have to be stored in a back room area waiting for 10 months until that season approaches. A summer sundress doesn't sell well in North Dakota when the wind chill is 10 below zero,
Right. Okay.
period.
Very good. So, what percentage of items actually make it to the sales floor versus the trash recycle bin? And how did donations that weren't usable impact your organization?
Okay, so there again, it's not a straightforward cut and dry answer. Um, so percentage of items that actually make it to the sales floor versus trash recycle. That depends on what you donate and in what condition you donate it in. I'm going to give you a couple examples. Now, bear in mind that each store has their own policies. Okay, so Salvation Army had some slightly different policies from like Goodwill. Okay, so and I will have to circle back because I wrote my answer backwards. But if your items are clean, usable, not cracked, broken, or in disrepair, not stained, paint splattered, armpit stains, missing buttons. If those things are in clean, usable condition, whether it's knickknacks, dishware, clothing, those items are able to be processed immediately and moved right onto the sales floor. If you donate to me a bag of freshly laundered, neatly folded blouses, I'm going to take that right to my pricer. I'm going to say it's in season, price this, it's all going to hit the sales floor. Now, and I'm going to give you an example that happened to me. Um, if I open a bag of clothing items that were very clearly scooped up off the floor and just dumped in the bag, along with the cat hair, cat food, and cat poo poo, those items are probably going to make it to the recycle trailer
Right.
because my facility did not have laundry facilities. So anything that was too far gone as far as cleanliness, I couldn't do anything about it. I did not have a washer and dryer on premises. Other facilities do, and they will launder them. I know this, but I did not. So, how you donate the item makes a big difference. And I did say clean. Now, it doesn't have to be freshly laundered. If you're just going through your closet and you knew it's been laundered within the last few months and it's been hanging there and it's nice and neat, just fold it neatly and put it in the bag and we're good to go. When items are crammed and shoved into bags, those tend to make permanent wrinkles in some of the cotton fabrics. And those items don't sell well. I didn't even have a steamer. We worked on a super tight budget. And it wasn't that we couldn't have maybe tried to iron it or steam it. I didn't have the manpower. My part-timers only work 20 hours a week, all three of them. I was the only 40-hour-a-week person. Um, so the time essence was a huge factor. I didn't have time to steam the wrinkles out of all these things. So as neatly folded as possible, placed in the bags, then you can tell when you open the bag, this person cared about their donations. So these are going to be good to go. So clean, nice donations, pretty much 100% will hit the sales floor. Things that are just impossibly wrinkled or stained or missing buttons, those are going to be put in the recycle trailer. We were fortunate that we had a fabric recycling trailer, and we had a gentleman that would come and take it when it was full. Now, some facilities I've seen the full semi truck out back, and a lot of times that's what the semi truck trailer is for recycles. I had a smaller trailer; it was the size of a horse trailer. Um,
Did you have to
when
pay for that service?
So I did not pay; he paid me.
Oh, okay.
So every time my horse trailer was completely full, the gentleman would come and take it, and then he would add it to his semi truck trailer, and he would give me a check for about $200. Some of the places here in town, one that I can think of in particular, actually have a semi trailer, and when theirs is full, it gets taken, and from here it goes to Minnesota, closer to the Twin Cities. Um, they will make between $2,000 and $4,000 for their recycled items.
Okay.
And it's all clothing.
Okay.
So we do get a little bit of money back from that, but big picture, it's not a lot. It'd be
Right.
better to sell the items, but we do have that ability. And I would have some people that would bring me small, Target bags, Walmart bags, and on it they would write recycle fabric, recycle clothing.
Mm.
And I'd look, and yes, it'd be t-shirts with holes
Right.
or torn items, and I could just put that right in my recycle trailer. I didn't have to sort through it.
Right.
And I did them a service by being able to recycle it. They did me a service to save me all that time in sorting
Right.
items,
Yeah.
which helps both parties.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Um, we did have, now I will say, you kind of have to know your local stores. Like Goodwill will take most everything.
Right.
Okay. Um, we have several in town. We have a Restore, we have a Goodwill, we have Dakota Boys and Girls Ranch. There's another independent one downtown. My store, which is no longer open, they did eventually close it. But because we were a religious-based organization, there were certain things I was not allowed to take, and this came from my superiors.
Mm.
So the type of things that we could not take were anything that had a beer logo on it,
Okay.
any references to drugs or drug materials,
Mm.
like the good old 420 t-shirts with the certain leaf on it.
Yes.
We could not take anything, books or knickknacks that referenced magic or witchcraft,
Okay.
um, et cetera, et cetera. And those we were instructed by our superiors that we had to destroy said items.
Okay.
So just be aware of who your
Good.
end um, is. If it's a religious organization, you know, they may have certain rules in place that they cannot take certain items. I'll just like a Ouija board.
Right.
That would be an example of something that I would have to put immediately into the trash,
Right. Okay.
you know. So just bear in mind to whom you're donating said items to.
Right. What were the like top three most common items that people would drop off that you secretly wish they wouldn't?
I had fun with this one. One item that I secretly hated was stuffed animals.
Oh,
And I don't necessarily mean the little beanie babies, but stuffed animals in general, because stuffed animals, you don't know the environment they were in. You don't know what kind of germs and allergens are on them. These are typically things that are hard to launder.
Right.
Um, we'd still, I mean, you'd have to sort through those just like you would clothing and put out the best of the best. But I always just didn't like it because I just didn't know where they'd been.
My local thrift stores won't take them.
Yeah, there are some that
Honestly,
will
when
not.
you've parented children, like I get it. Like I know
Yes,
the critters that
absolutely.
can
Yeah,
be and so
absolutely. I mean, and some of them were sold for dog toys. I mean, and that's fine. It was up to the purchaser, but we only put out the best of the best, the ones that we felt were clean. They didn't have odors. Same with the clothing,
right,
that kind of deal. So I hated stuffed animals.
right.
Um, Another thing I did not like was anything that had an actual year or a date printed on it. Think a knickknack that says 1985, a Christmas ornament that says Hummel 1982, or picture frames, that had maybe the family name on it and had a date on it. Maybe it was from an anniversary or something. Those items typically do not sell.
Right. Okay.
I'd try, but most of the time they would, we would put things out for a period of time. Like clothing was 3 months, knickknacks, lamps, pictures, everything was dated, and we would give them like 6 months. If it's not sold in 6 months, it's probably not going to. A lot of those things hit the dumpster
Yeah. Yeah.
because of the dates. Um, yeah, they just don't sell. A third one, this might surprise a lot of people. I absolutely hated getting Harlequin romance books.
Okay.
They just sit on the shelves.
Okay.
The mysteries will sell, the westerns will sell, the other types of romance books will sell. The Harlequin romances, especially if they're dated from the 60s and 70s, they just sit there.
Okay. All right.
I just didn't like getting those.
Right.
And I have a bonus one for
Yeah,
you.
please.
The bonus is old college textbooks or encyclopedia sets.
Okay.
The information is all outdated
Right.
and they just become, if you do put them out, they just sit there.
Right.
Now, newer, within the last 2 to 3 year college textbooks that could still be relevant, fine.
Mhm.
And nobody from anything I know even does encyclopedias anymore. Dictionaries will still sell, thesauruses will still sell,
Mhm.
but encyclopedia sets from 1959 do not sell.
Right.
And if you're fortunate in your area to have a book recycler
Mm.
in the area, that's where I would take old textbooks, old college textbooks, old encyclopedia sets, take them to your local recycler
Okay.
and let them recycle them because they're just not going to sell at a thrift store.
Okay, that's actually very helpful. Um, Good rule of thumb for cleanliness and how worn an item should be.
Okay, so as we talked about before, paint stains, sweat stains, spaghetti stains, missing buttons. Typically, these shirts won't sell, they'll sit there.
Right.
Um, Ripped out elbows, that's frequent. Now, the jeans that were in style a year or so ago that had all the rips and tears in them, we could have got away with a lot of our clothes that way.
Right.
But I think that that fad is passing. I don't see as many people wearing the
Hmm.
ripped and torn jeans.
Hmm.
So just be careful where it's ripped and torn.
Right.
If it's in the knee, it might be okay to sell. If it's in the rear end, maybe not.
Right.
Those would be something that I would mark, for recycling. If your chosen thrift store has clothing recycling, maybe they would let you bring a bag or two for specifically for textile recycling.
Right.
Your old jeans end up as insulation, right? So yeah, they chew them up and turn them into
Yes.
insulation.
Yes, I've read
So
about this about denim,
mhm,
recycled blue jeans. That's a brilliant. So it really comes back, it sounds like just to common sense.
correct.
Clean and in good usable
Good
condition.
usable. Now
If
I
it's
will
not
say
clothing, it needs to work for whatever
Correct. Yeah,
function it is.
absolutely. I mean, think of it. If you were in a store
Yeah.
and you looked at that item, would you buy it?
Right.
If you would not buy it because there's a big coffee stain down the front, nobody else will either.
Yeah.
There is a caveat to that. If you have button down shirts and maybe the shirt itself is stained or has paint spilled all over it, but it has some really nice buttons on it.
Hmm.
We used to take a lot of our button down shirts and cut the buttons off
Okay.
and put them in little zippy bags, and we would sell the zippy bags in our sewing section.
Okay.
And people would, do you know how expensive buttons are
I didn't.
at sewing shops? It's
Okay.
outrageous how expensive buttons are.
All right.
So if it has nice serviceable buttons,
Okay.
especially unique looking buttons,
Right.
by all means, if the shirt is not serviceable anymore, cut those buttons off, put them in a little sandwich bag, and donate the buttons.
Okay. Very good.
The sewers would love you for it.
I love that. I love
Hmm.
that.
Yep.
When is your slowest and your busiest hours for donation intake, and when should we avoid dropping things off?
Well, there again, it kind of varies by store and by seasonality. In North Dakota in the winter, pretty much most of the winter's dead. I mean, we would still get donations, but we did not get high volume,
Right.
which was good because it allowed us to focus on other things
Right.
and get projects done that have been waiting all summer to get done.
Right.
So winters were slow, the especially middle of the week.
Mhm.
Our highest volume, obviously summer, garage sale season. So everything from the 1st of May through October, whenever people were having garage sales, our volume would be high. The busiest day by large for us was Saturday afternoons when the garage sales were done, or
Mhm.
Mondays,
Okay.
because if they couldn't get to us on Saturday,
Hmm.
they would bring their donations on Mondays.
Right.
Fridays were also kind of crazy busy. So that middle of the week, that
Tuesday to
Tuesday,
Thursday.
Wednesday, yeah, is typically a little bit slower. And, you know, time of day is variable. If it's raining, they may not even have donation bins outside. My people were able to open the door and bring the stuff inside and set it down, which was fine. So I typically would get donations all day long.
Hmm.
But Mondays, Fridays, Saturdays were the crazy busy, busy, busy times.
Right.
So if at all possible, avoid those 3 days.
Okay.
And a lot of it's due to the garage sales.
Huh. Interesting. So you get ready for a garage sale, and then you bring to Salvation Army or Goodwill the things that don't sell.
Correct. That's exactly what they do. They would pack everything up in boxes and bags and then drop it off.
What do you wish donors knew that I haven't asked about? Is there anything you want to share?
Well, I would like to share that managing and working in a thrift store is highly stressful.
Oh, that.
Burnout is real. Um, when it's summer and it's busy season, sometimes we will offload 200 to 300 bags of clothes a day, maybe even 100 boxes
Mm.
of miscellaneous goods. And I've heard people complain, well, they didn't even say thank you. But when you're dealing with volumes of two, three, four, 500 bags of clothes a day, 100 or so boxes of miscellaneous stuff, sometimes you're struggling to find space in your intake area,
Mm.
and the people have driven away before you've had a chance to say thank you.
Right.
I have literally had gone on my lunch break, had a pickup truck pull up, had to go out, offload furniture, clothes, everything, and I got back to my lunch an hour later.
Mm.
Uh, and mind you, I was a small store with a small staff.
Right.
Having lunch, I would get interrupted a lot. And yes, sometimes we get busy and forget to say thank you. So I will say thank you for all your donations. We
Yeah.
do appreciate it because it keeps us in business. It keeps us going.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing I would like to say, this is a big one. Think safety of the workers. When you are putting your donations in a bag or a box, think about the person who has to open that bag or that box. Please do not put glass vases in a bag with clothing or miscellaneous random stuff. Because if that vase breaks and we put our hand in there to grab the clothing, we can cut ourselves. I have.
Right.
Also, take newspaper or a paper towel tube to put knives in and tape it shut
Okay.
before you put it in a box.
Okay.
I've had workers, volunteers reach into a box before and get cut by a knife
Right.
because it was just kind of tossed in the bottom with everything else.
Right.
So there again, we go back to the common sense thing, you know, just not putting glass or breakable items in plastic bags. Try
Right.
to find a box. Everybody has an Amazon box around the house.
Right.
Put it in a box, tape it up. It's a lot safer for the workers on the receiving end when they don't have sharp objects threatening to shred their fingers when they put their hand in a bag.
Right.
That's a big one. Also, if you're donating a large amount of jewelry, try to put them in a couple little different zippy bags rather than one big clump
Right.
because it will take my cashier hours to undo all those necklaces and bracelets. So having some smaller zippy bags for jewelry donations is greatly appreciated. And one of the last things is I wanted to say real quickly, I hear a lot of people complaining about the prices at the thrift stores lately. Um, Granted, there are some cases where even I, as a former manager, think that's a little high. That's priced kind of exorbitant. But you also have to bear in mind that just because everything is given to us doesn't mean that our business is completely free. I had rent, I have wages, I have utilities, I have dumpster fees, I have supplies, all those tape guns and stickers and the zip tie guns. We also had to have insurance.
Mhm.
People don't think about the business end of it.
Right.
We have to be able to cover all those costs. I
Right.
mean, when I first started at my store and we were in a basement, lower level, not on the main road location. So we had lower foot traffic than the other stores. My rent was $800 a month when I started in 2014. In
Right.
2017, when I quit, it was $1,800. It had went up $1,000 in 4 years.
Hmm.
That was just the rent.
Right.
That didn't even include the wages. Wages, we used to pay our girls $7.35 an hour. Now they're making $14, $15 an hour in order to keep said people.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so there's a lot of expense into running these stores. You have to keep the electricity on, you have to keep the water flowing
Right.
for obvious reasons. So there are reasons why some of the prices have gone up, and a lot of it's because our rent did, our utilities did, our wages did.
Right.
So bear in mind that as well. And it can be a profitable business, but it's tough to be in business at all these days.
Right.
And one of the reasons I did leave my job was a health reason. I had ruptured a disc in my back,
Mhm.
so I unexpectedly ended up having to leave my job, and I miss it, but
Mhm.
yet I don't because it was so exhausting.
Yeah.
And but it was fun. You never knew what was going to come through the door,
Right.
and that was the fun part.
Yeah.
Was all the new and exciting, oh, these beautiful vases coming in and beautiful clothing and fun Halloween costumes, but all in all, it takes a toll on your body as
Sure.
well.
Love that. Diana, thank you. I really appreciate your time so much. I'm
No,
grateful. And I know the people who watch this are going to find it helpful. I think a lot of us, we just don't think through it. And so I'm hopeful that your perspective and your lived experience with this will be helpful to other
yep,
people. So thank you for your time and your generosity in meeting with me. And on behalf of
absolutely.
the viewers, I say thank you too. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wanted to thank Diana again for being here today and for sharing her insight and wisdom. I'm grateful for her time and her sharing her expertise with us today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this helpful. I'd love to have you subscribe and follow along. I'm Robin from Minimalism Over 50. I make videos about minimalism, frugality, and simplicity. We'll see you next time.